Facebook and Instagram. Welcome to our Run Pain Free live stream. I hope you're all having an amazing midweek. It's Wednesday. We're going live, so hope you're getting through your week well. Today we are talking about knee injuries with running specifically. And so the reason we're doing this is because it's the start of marathon season. Everybody's jumping into it with both feet after pretty much not doing much of anything, and definitely not at what their levels were previously to COVID and the pandemic. And so jumping into it and getting into it, one of the first things you will feel is knee pain. And so I want to talk about that today. So hold on. Instagram is telling everybody that I'm online, that I am live. So I'm going to let it all do its thing. Welcoming everybody also over here on Facebook. We're on both of these streams today. So thank you all of my viewers to actually showing up. And we're going to get into it. So we all know that like foot pain and plantar fasciitis and shin splints are all kind of early things. But honestly, the knee pain is truly the first and most common feeling that a runner has. Whether they admit it or they say anything is kind of irrelevant to the fact that it's really the most commonly felt pain. And so what I want to first and foremost say, that knee injuries are never from running. Your knee is at the midline of the leg, so it's in the middle of the leg that makes it vulnerable. And so if we understand that like your knee and your hip and your ankle work synonymously, they have to work at the same time, then we have to understand that whatever's in between those two things is kind of going to get the brunt of any dysfunction between the two, right? So the knee injuries that we're talking about, IT band syndrome, meniscus injuries, ACL, MCL, LCL tears, patellotendinitis. These are actual knee injuries. Now, if you had any of these specific knee injuries, those are because of something else. The knee really never gets injured until you don't listen to the pain it's already presented it. So when someone says you have IT band syndrome, it's complete hogwash. And then you'll be told either runner's knee or IT band syndrome. And what I want to make clear on this live is that we're speaking about running injuries with running. And the whole premise of this is what is an actual knee injury and what isn't. And what causes the knee injury and what does not. So that's what I want to go over in this live. That's what we're talking about today. So that's what's going on. So most runners will be told you have IT band syndrome or you have runner's knee. Both are complete hogwash because first thing you can always look at that's kind of hogwash is if it's got the sport name attached to the name or of the diagnosis. That's already like a headway on that's crap, okay? And then syndrome, right? I always say Run Pain Free deals with all the syndromes and itises and chronics. Like that's our jam. Like bring that to us. And so syndrome means you just have it all the time, expect to be in pain. I don't accept that for myself, so I do not accept that for our athletes. I just don't. And so that's why I dig to make sure it goes away. And also, another point of it, when someone's level of education stops, their diagnosis has to stop as well. And so when someone's getting diagnosed with a syndrome or an itis or something with chronic, that really is code for, that's as far as I go with this understanding of this. And so I don't know what to tell you to do to fix it, but I can tell you what to do to manage it. Those are very different things, okay? So we always say, if you got a syndrome and itis and chronic, that's us. Come on over to us. But these are the two things that runners really hear about when it comes to their knee. What I want to make clear is those are not knee injuries, okay? Those are knee pains that are really annoying and painful and have different degrees of pain with them, 1,000%, 1,000%. But there's nothing actually wrong with your knee. When we're talking about runner's knee and ITB, ITBS, IT band syndrome, there's nothing wrong with your knee yet. Now, the more you listen to that diagnosis and don't do anything to address it, because there's a problem, There's a problem somewhere else. More than likely, it's your hip. I don't know why I'm saying that. I can guarantee you it's your hip. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice on a Wednesday. I don't know why. It's your hip, okay? And so that needs to be addressed up top. Now, why it's your hip, how it's your hip, what part, is it mobility, is it stability, is it lack thereof? Do you have too much muscle on one leg than the other? Is one moving, is one not? All that determines why your knee is hurting, but it's up top. It's up there, and it's got to be fixed up there. That's the focus. So, there's nothing wrong with your actual knee. When you don't do that and go up and look where it's coming from, you don't get to the root, you use tape and braces and shots. So these three things are severe band-aids. What they do is they're the most severe temporary relief. So you may get relief from some of these things, but it's going to be temporary, right? A present temporary relief with a real long-term adverse effect. So for tape, for instance, you guys, if you've been following me, I've been speaking about tape for years and years and years and years. I think it should be off the market. The federal government brought them to court for false advertising. You can Google that. You know how I feel about Google, but you actually can Google that. And so that's the truth. And that's just a few years ago. And the government won, so they had to change everything, their products and their messaging and all that good stuff. So when you put on the tape as a first thing, right? Because you think that's going to help you. What it's doing is it's the equivalent of me grabbing your leg, grabbing your knee with my hands and holding it and saying, okay, come on, let's go run. It's not only unrealistic, I am creating such a force around your knee that's creating additional injuries. And then because there's this force and a pulling and a tugging around the knee while you're in velocity running, right? You're doing stuff. You're now creating injuries. You're locking up the mobility, the chain, the mobility chain. So the way you're moving front to back, the way you're moving side to side, you're locking up that chain. And so other joints get involved and compromised because a part of that chain is locked up. And so when you rip the tape off after your race, after your 10K, after your 15K, after your half, definitely after your full, you will swell in that area nearly immediately. And whether or not you feel it there, you will feel it in another joint. I can near guarantee it because this is the same stuff that's been happening for years and years and years and years and years. And this is why we talk about knees so much, because there's a lot of things that go on. I have to put this on because some reason, I don't know why Instagram acts up. So a lot, the knees come first because so many people don't get that what they're being told is a knee injury, A, isn't. And then how they're being told to manage it is actually not the case. It's actually not, it's creating more of an issue. And so that's the tape. That's the first thing. Well, then you're just like, all right, well, I'll put a brace on. Okay, wherever you put a brace on, I will guarantee you the next joint up is going to be injured. So if you put an ankle brace on, your knee will get injured. If you put a knee brace on, your hip's going to get injured. Wrist brace, your elbow brace, your shoulder. I can guarantee it 100%. So remember, you heard it here. I've been saying it for years. I'm totally against braces. Go. Well, I can't run, Jessica, without those braces. Like, I really rely on them. If you're saying I can't use the tape, why can't I use the brace? You can do whatever you want. That's first. I'm telling you what to do if you want to actually have functioning joints, not only tomorrow, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the long term. You see, we at Run Pain Free here, we correct for life. I'm not correcting you for tomorrow. I'm correcting you to live pain free so you can run, bike, swim, and live and hike pain free. That's the whole point. So that's the difference. And that's why what I say here, you're not going to hear other places. And I'm not saying don't do these things. I'm saying this is what these things do. Have the information, get the education, make a decision. Make a decision with what's being presented to you. That's all. What I'm saying is, if you're relying on that brace, you really need to fix that problem because you can't wear braces forever. And if you do, if you wear knee braces and plan on wearing, I have family members, let alone clients, who have worn knee braces for years and years and years and years, and then it's literally hip replacement season. It's like, which one's going first, if not both? Because it disallows a functionality at the hip joint that you absolutely need, and your foot has to coincide with that, and that mechanic has to happen. So understand these are choices you're making and understand the fallout from that. So that's why those two things, they're not, and also who the hell's managing pain? I don't have any time to manage pain. Nothing burns me up like having a pain spot somewhere or something feels funky on me. Nothing burns me up more. And I treat all our people the same way for that reason. So no one has time to manage pain. You want to get rid of it, right? I think a lot of runners don't know they can actually recover from injury. I actually believe you don't even know that sometimes because it's not such a huge thing that people talk about. It's not such a it's injury recovery isn't huge. You hear like broken runner down, I'm injured, blah blah blah, but you don't hear. No one really talks about their injury recovery so much, and I really encourage all of our runners to do that, not only for themselves and to get those wins for themselves, but to show other people like there is actual some real stuff about injury recovery. Like you literally can recover from injuries. You do not have to be in pain all the time. That is complete hogwash, complete hogwash. And so when you're using these things to manage pain, you're managing pain for a real problem later. And so what comes later are actual knee injuries. Then you have an LCL problem, a ACL problem, which is more common, an MCL problem. You have a patella tendon problem. You can break a kneecap. There's so many things that you can get from like actual knee stuff. Even, and I'll go into the meniscus thing in a second. What I said are what I consider actual injuries, and I have levels of what of injuries are for me as an injury corrective expert. I have levels of that, and so those are real injuries, right? Where they cusp is the meniscus, and here's why. That's an actual tear, right? A soft tissue tear. And so that's an actual injury. Yes. However, I can't count how many people I have with all different grades of meniscus tears that literally run several marathons a year with zero pain. Why? Because meniscus heals itself. That's first. It's soft tissue. Okay? It heals itself. 2, cartilage is scientifically proven to regenerate while you're running. There's scientific medical journals that prove this, that's actually running properly with proper form and proper mechanics actually generates cartilage in your knees. So losing cartilage is on that cusp as well, where it could be an injury, but it's kind of hogwash. And so when you have a severe grade tear in your meniscus, that's when you could go for surgery, but again, it is still going to heal itself. I've had people who have had severe tears in their meniscus not know it was torn, and then 6 months later get an MRI and are like, oh, you actually had a torn meniscus. It's already healed, but you tore it like a couple months ago. That happens all the time. What also happens, and not only as well, but more so, is that people elect for the meniscus surgery. And they go in and they're like, you know what? It actually wasn't that bad. And so we just cleaned up some of the stuff we found around there, like arthritis and stuff. We cleaned that up. And the person recovers with less mobility in the knee, more pain in their hip, and the other leg starts to get jacked up. That's literally the most common outcome of meniscus surgery. So that cusps like where it's hogwash, it's not an actual injury, it's ache and pain and it's annoying and it's hurtful and it holds you back, to like these are real literal injuries like ACL tear. And ACL is so common, people hear it a lot. It's the tendon that allows your body to move right to left. So basketball players and football players and soccer players heavily tear their ACLs. But it's not uncommon for a football player to tear all three because of blunted force. And then if they're not training properly and their hips aren't working right and it's a cornerback position or if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe I just revealed that I'm a football person. But these are things that they have to be able to move quick in different directions. And so each tendon dictates a different motion. Front, back, right, left, mobility. Like it dictates that. So if that's why they can actually tear all three. Those are real injuries. Now, I have runners who have severed their ACL tendon, the tendon that makes you go right to left, who have elected to not get reconstructive surgery, not get their ACL repaired, and they run 4 to 5 marathons a year. And I'll add to that, half of them are over 60. Half of them. So when you're hearing these things, these are actual stats. These are, and when I talk to you guys, like, I'm giving you stats from real people, from people that I've worked with, that we case study, that we dig into, and we treat everybody that way. So everybody is looked at the same way, as a case study, as information, as an individual, as a subject. So every stat I give you is from the thousands of hours that I've put into studying and studying people and the mobility and the movement or lack thereof to give you this information. Like, I research medical journals, and I look at things to dig into stuff, but really these stats I'm giving you is really from our own Run Pain Free stats, like injury corrective stats. And so that's where this becomes a big confusion for runners, because runners are like, I have a knee injury and I wear this brace, and you actually don't have an injury. You have a really bad pain that is pulling on your knee, that's going to be an injury, that's going to probably take you out if you don't deal with it right away. That's what I want this podcast to bring to you, and give you that information, and give you that understanding of the differences between knee injuries and knee pain. I'll say, knee pain. I'll say just knee pain, because they're very different. And if you look at them the same way, you'll miss the mark on preventing an injury. And so that's what I want this to talk about today. I'll go in now to the cartilage a little bit, because it's on the cusp. So like I said, there is scientific proof that running actually generates new cartilage in your knees. That's scientific proof. I do bring up this article and the study that was done often, and I believe it was 2019, and a Run Pain Free client sent me the article that I then followed up researching the medical journal on. And they took 20 people before they raced the London Marathon, all different levels of runners, 20 different runners. And they took MRIs of all of their knees pre-race. After the full marathon, they did re-MRIs of everybody. On everybody's MRI, everything or anything that was on their MRIs in their knees was gone post-race, to prove what running actually does to the body. There's a great regeneration. There is a great reset. It's a full body movement unmatched by anything. The blood flow that's generated from running is unmatched by anything. How your systems have to work are really, it's so rhythmic when it comes to running. If something is off, if one thing is off in your body, you won't run well. You won't run without pain. You won't run to your pleasure. It won't be fun. You'll feel restricted. You'll feel labored. You'll feel gassed. You'll feel like your wheels are falling off. Like, it really only takes one thing off to actually do that. And so that's why when you understand that running does so much positive to your bodies, nothing you ever got pain-wise ever came from running. Running, I always tell you guys, is feedback. Running is the basic human function with velocity to the extreme. It's walking. If you're running in pain, you're living in pain, period. Period. You may have a high tolerance for pain. You may ignore pain. You may be ignorant to pain. I don't care, whichever one it is. I know that if you're in pain running, you're in pain in life, period. So the run is revealing how jacked up you are. That's why you can be, I've been an athlete just my whole life. I never had anything until I ran. Right, because you've been jacked up and the run exposed it. It's got nothing to do with anything else. The only external thing that triggers a runner's injuries would be the wrong sneakers. And that's because it disallows the mobility and biomechanics of your body to operate properly as a human. That's it. Your body has to operate properly as a human. Otherwise, you don't have the sustainability of the run at all. And so that's why, these are the things I want to get across today. So if I'm speaking too technical, please let me know. Hi, everybody on Instagram. Hi, everybody on Facebook. I hope that it's on Facebook. You can see me well. Please shoot out questions if you have any questions. If you have knee pain, if you got stuff going on with your knee, shoot out questions. I'm here to answer them. Q&A all the time. Whenever I'm on live, it's an open Q&A. So please go ahead and answer questions. I'm not here just to talk from my health. I'm here to help. So All right, so getting back to it. So cartilage, I had people early on in my career who were told they had no cartilage left in their knees and they should stop running. And then I got them running and they were running with completely no pain. And then I consistently saw this, all different ages. And again, because I case study everything, I know, I've studied it. So it's a definitely in dancers was huge, like dance people who had been specifically ballet, and even more specific girls who were on point. That is who I would see mostly with that. And then basketball players in their 40s and 50s, men basketball players in their 40s and 50s. Those are the two groups that I would hear that they're like, oh, I got no more cartilage in my knee. It's done. I have no more cartilage in my knee. And then I get them running and they have zero pain in their knees. Because A, it's generating in there. But when you are running properly, you are using your glutes. And guess what is the direct support to your knee? Your booty. So if your booty is not firing, your knee is taking the brunt of the entire run, and it shouldn't. That also means you're overbuilding your quads. So now you have all this heavy mass. Largest muscle group in the body is the quads. So now you have this heavy mass weighted on not only your pelvis and your hips, but also on your knees. And so that puts strain on your knees, weight-wise. It's weight-bearing. And then you're going out of velocity. Running is velocity. So you're doing all of this, and then your knees just take way too much because the booty is doing nothing. It's out to lunch. It doesn't work. It's the laziest muscle in the body, but it is the most important muscle in the body. If your glutes do not fire, nothing up and nothing down works. And that is the direct, people think that, oh, well, no, Jess, my quads are what supports my knee and my hamstrings and my calves. No, they don't. No, they don't. I don't know who told you that. It's wrong. That is not the case. Go ahead and do a lunge and go way into your knee. You're going to feel your quad fire, right? Right. Go do it. Listen, go do it. I love when you test what I'm saying. Go do it. Now go do a lunge and don't go into your knee and sit into your hip and feel your butt fire. Tell me which one you feel your knee more in. It's going to be the first one. It's going to be the first one because you're putting all the weight into your knee, not into your glute. The minute your glute fires, everything connects. Everything fires properly because the glute's supporting the spine and therefore your hips, the most important joints in your body to be supported, most important structures in your body to be supported. And so that's why when you understand what the knee injury is it an injury or is it pain? That's the first thing. And then when does it hurt the most? What motion hurts it the most? Am I in bad form or am I in good form and it still hurts? Like these are all things you can start doing to assess it because there's different levels of it and there's different levels of injuries even. So, that's what I want to clear up today because so many people believe they have a knee injury that don't. They cater to it. They limp or they favor it, and that just makes it 10 times worse because when you're limping, where are you really limping from? Your hips. And what did I just tell you knee pain is really coming from? Your hips. So you're making your hips 10 times worse. And knee pain is the easiest injury pain to fix. It is the quickest to fix because it's not your knee. And to alleviate the pain out of your knee is quite fast. Now, where the work is and what we're working on, that's different. And will you feel that residual at your knee sometimes? In correction, absolutely. Yeah. Because your hip joint, when your hip joint is not working properly, it affects your hip. When it is working properly, it affects your knee. When your hip is working properly, your knee has to get with the game. So it has to adjust. And that adjustment period, you feel things, but it's different. You feel it differently. Definitely feel it differently. If you ever feel like you have a wonky leg, if your leg doesn't feel like stable and like your knee feels wonky, that's an IT band, period. The IT band, the IT band connects outside your knee. I never get tired of saying this. I say it on so many podcasts. I say it on these lives. I say it in sessions. I say it all day long. Put your hands right now outside your shin, outside your calf. There's a bone right underneath where your knee is, but on the outside of it is a bone that protrudes out. That's where the IT band inserts. Now, if you thought the IT band stopped at your knee, that was wrong. So when you understand the anatomy better, you understand where your actual problems are, okay? So the IT band is all the way down there. That comes all the way up outside your glute and then gets really thick and fibrous over your hip joint, which is below your booty to the side. Your hip joint is not what's pressed, not protruding out in front. That's your pelvis, guys. When you are putting your hands on your hips, you're putting that on what we call the iliac crest. That's not your hips. Your hips are actually where you would think of saddlebags. That's where your actual hips are. And the reason why you got saddlebags is because your hips don't, the glutes around your hips don't fire and they're like hanging out doing nothing. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, let's get the anatomy together. And so the IT band covers all of that. It covers 80% of each butt cheek, and then it crosses up across your T-spine, your shoulder blades, and attaches on either shoulder. That's your IT band. So when your left shoulder comes forward, you pull on your right knee. When your left shoulder comes forward, you pull on when your right shoulder comes forward, you pull on your left knee. It creates a cross. The IT band literally dictates how you move right to left. So I don't know where you're going if you haven't addressed your IT band. And if you're still not foam rolling, I'm going to say stop running. And if you have a knee problem, you probably also have shoulder blade knots, tension headaches, pain in your upper back. Maybe you feel like it's like super stiff up here. That's because there's tissue locking that up because your hips are jacked up. And then that tissue goes down to your knee and then locks up the entire chain of everything. That's why. So like the easiest thing to do is get rid of that knee, the pulling and straining on that knee from tissue, because tissue dictates the joint's ability to move. And then once the joint can move, then the muscles can join the party. But if the joints are all restricted, ain't nobody doing anything. No one's doing anything. So that's the problem with understanding that part of it and where everything is coming from and going. And then believing where your hips are not there. That's not your hips. This is not your hips. Your hips are lower. And then believing that you have a muscle called a hip flexor. There's no such thing called a muscle that's called a hip flexor. You have two muscles with little itty bitty muscles that help those two muscles. And those are your hip flexors, the psoas and the sartorius. If I'm getting too technical, let me know. But I want you all to get the education you deserve so you can stop with the pains that lead to real injuries. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do here. So, hi, thank you everybody on Facebook. Thank you. So that's why I want you to understand that when there's restriction at the joint at the knee, when there's restriction at your knee joint, it's really pulling from your hip and it's in protection. When your body is protecting you, the tissue goes and restricts you from moving. It's not tight. Muscles are tight. Tissue is tension. Tissue responds to you being nervous. Tissue responds to you not being trusting. And so it restricts mobility so you don't break. If you ignore it, you break. Because the body can only hold out for oh so long. And then it starts to break. That's what happens. You know, and so that's why I always say, like, anything from the knee down is indicative of a hip problem by way of where that IT band inserts outside your calf in the lower leg. It's beyond the knee, it's in the lower leg. So all that's based on restriction. But when we're having pain at the knees, that's the easiest thing to relieve to open up mobility and prevent ACL tears, LCL tears, MCL tears, patella tendon issues, Baker cysts, cartilage issues, or kneecap breaking and stuff like that. Those real serious actual injuries. We can prevent those. But if you're fussing around with managing pain and you're fussing around with shots, I'll get into shots. If you're fussing around with tape and managing the tape and the braces, you're on your way to a bigger loss, okay? So now that I just reminded myself I got to talk about shots, I'm going to talk about shots. Shots are one of the, I would say, the worst thing you could do next to surgery, because even if you have surgery, the reason you got injured, I still have to fix. So surgery is the biggest Band-Aid you would get when it comes to joints, when it comes to tears, stuff like that. It's the biggest thing, it's the biggest Band-Aid, because I do a lot of pre-op and post-op. I do a lot of it for that reason. I get people ready for surgery, I've gotten people ready for replacements, and I've gotten people post-replacement and post-surgery, from severe breaks to just needing the replacement. As much as I've gotten people who I have prevented these replacements in before they were like, last resort, I'm about to get cut. Can you fix me or not before I get cut and get a replacement? I've done that as well. So I'm coming from all of that as with this. So next to that, shots are the worst thing you can do because they numb and they mask in the most extreme way where your pain is. And pain is feedback. Pain is simply telling you there's something wrong and you need to address it. And the worst thing you can do is stifle it. Like, think about when you're emotional about something. Think about when you're upset about something. When you simmer that down and you press that down, you eventually explode because we're human and that's what happens. The body does respond the same way. When you consistently shut it up, don't listen to it, wrap it up, ice it up, don't get me started, tape it up, and shoot it up, it's going to break at some point. It's going to break at some point. And then the risk is, do you ever run again? That's a real risk. That's a real risk because you only get one body. You only get one body. And so people are fussing around with their bodies like they get another chance. You don't. I got hit by a truck. Like, you have 1% chance in life to be hit by a moving vehicle. And I can honestly say I've actually met a lot of people who've been hit by moving vehicles. I think it's because I've been hit by one. But to be hit by a pickup truck as a pedestrian, it literally changed the entire trajectory of my career and my life, period. My body will never be the same. Am I stronger after it? Sure. Do I know better after it? 100%. Am I pain-free? Yeah. But would I have wanted to get hit by a truck? No. No. But then you move your body differently. And if anybody out there has been injured and knows what pain is, you move differently when you've had severe injury and severe pain. You're cautious more. You look a little bit more when you're crossing the street. You step off a curb differently. You think about certain workouts differently. You hesitate on certain things. You may not climb that ladder. You may not step on that chair to clean the fan. Like, those things are real subconscious thoughts that you look at differently when you've had real pain. And so these are the things that an injured body will tell you how precious your body is. And some people, unfortunately, don't get it until they get injured. And I hope to prevent that because I've done that. I've been there. And I hope that I can help people never, ever get to the levels of injuries that I have or have had. So that's, why I do these lives and I do events and I give you as much education as I can in my podcast. And I try to answer as many questions as I can. And I'm like, just ask me questions. I'm here to help. So I will, Sheldon. I will say, why no ice? So when these things really do occur and you only get one body. So you need to understand how your body is operating so it's operating at its best. Whatever you invest in your body is your business, but at least know how it operates so you know where to go, right? Right or left. Should I do that? Should I not do that? Is that going to hurt me? Is that going to help me? Like, what is my goal? Like, figure that out. Be intentful with it because these things that you're doing at your knee are not going to help you. And what comes from shots, I get a lot of people who have gotten a shot and then come to me after the fact, find out about me or see me after the fact because the shot made them hurt worse. The pain spot of the shot was worse. And most of them swell in the area pretty badly. And I mean, knee shots, hip shots, SI joints, elbows, and shoulders are huge shot places that I have dealt with personally. And I have also personally had a shot in each of my SI joints, and I was completely under anesthesia because they went as deep as they possibly could to shoot me up. And I came out of that with more pain than I went in. And then the next day, after 24 hours, it was a strong 24 hours. And the next day, was back to my normal pain level. So it didn't even last 24 hours. It didn't last 24 hours, and it was worse for 24 hours. And then right back to my regular pain. So I've dealt with these things personally and professionally on some level, and everything that I talk about. So the shots really they are the biggest numbing factor you ever will have. It masks where your pain spot is, and that is the biggest mask of feedback of your body saying, "Hey, listen, I'm not okay here because something is pulling on me, straining me, stressing me out. Can you please figure it out?" And you don't listen to it. You just keep harping on the pain spot. Give me tape, give me shots, give me Advil, give me braces. And the whole point, where you're in pain has jack shit to do with where your actual injury is, where your pain is coming from. It's got nothing to do with it. Where you're in pain is feedback because it's a result of the real problem somewhere else. That's why corrective expertise, corrective injuries, biomechanics, athletic conditioning, all those things come into play on how to figure that out so you know where the hell you're going. Functional movement systems, huge, huge for mobility. I'm a mobility specialist. So like I need to know how the body moves in dysfunction and in function to know why either one isn't happening and then figure it out subjectively. So there's a real reason for that because it's not where you're feeling pain. It's never there. It's always from somewhere else, always. And so if you're focusing on this pain spot and you're numbing up the pain spot, you've now silenced your feedback. And so you go run. And you're like, well, the knee pain is a little better. I'll give you the 40% of people who actually feel better after a shot initially. Well, the knee pain feels a little better. I feel really a little less pain there. Right. So now where your hip is referring for pain is shut up. But the problem at your hip is still there. It wasn't that you didn't feel pain there to begin with. You only felt pain at your knee. So the real problem rots away and rots and rots and rots. And then 6 weeks later, it wears off. Your pain is back. You go for another shot. And then that cycle repeats itself. And so over time, now you've worn your knee completely out. And so those people who repetitively get shots wind up with knee replacements quick. Because when you're running all the miles, you putting all those miles on your body too. So you really want to make sure that they're functional miles. Because if you're running all those miles on a dysfunctional body, you're going to be decreasing the longevity of your athleticism and the ability of your mobility in a few years. You're going to limit how much time you have of good mobility. That's a promise. That's 100% a promise. And so these are the things that people don't get told or understand or think about, and this is what I do all day long. So I want to make sure you understand those things. There's a reason why I'm saying, yeah, I get that that may give you some limited temporary relief. I get it. But it's temporary for a reason because it's not even coming from there first, biggest problem. And it's creating the problem to get worse and then creating a new injury because you're putting foreign substances into that your knee is going to fight. Your body's going to fight that. It's a foreign substance. That's why it wears off. And so a lot of people are, listen, if I give you the shot, don't run. They know that if you run on that, it's going to be dysfunctional and it's not going to be good or healthy for the joint. So you shouldn't be running on it if you're going to go with the shot. But a lot of people will do the shot and go run, thinking that they're LeBron James and are getting paid $20-some million to run this race. I don't get it. So I'm going to address this ice question that my Sheldon has asked me to address. Why never ice? Why never ice? Oh no, he wrote, why ice? Never ice heat. Yay, I read it wrong. Good job, Sheldon. I thought you were trying to tell me to talk about it. But anyway, ice freezes things, right? So why would you want to freeze what's in pain? You want to stop the pain. You want to move the pain. So your body's swelling is a natural response to pain and injury. That's its job. So when you're icing it, you are discouraging that. Do you want it to pool and get swollen? No. But there's very rare instances I have ever told or I ever tell one of my athletes to ice. Very rare. Because for the most part, no one's moving well. If you're not moving well, you don't have good blood flow. You don't have good blood flow, you have pain. That's just the way it is. That's baseline. So I want to encourage blood flow. I want to encourage movement to move it around. And I actually seize the opportunity of someone in pain at that moment as a working moment. That's when I can do the most work, to be honest. Like, we're the people you come to in pain. I want you to see me, and I don't want you to wait when it settles, because then it's already settled. Now I got to work through all that, and then I got to go through that to get where I could have got 5 days ago. So, and any run pain-free person will tell you that. So Sheldon, I'm going to call you out. Sheldon rolled his ankle one too many times in correction, and immediately would just come right to me. Wherever I was would come right to me. And Sheldon's one of many. And I do this often, especially if I'm in Central Park. People will roll their ankle running and come to me right away. And there's a whole sequence that I do right away. I never have ice on me, so that's never going to be a part of the regimen. And as long as I get the blood to do its job without pooling and then work with the blood flow and the mobility, they literally walk away without a limp right after the whole rolling incident, even blown up. I've had basketball players come to me straight from from having a severe ankle sprain, come right to me, not urgent care, come right to me, and come in on somebody's shoulder, couldn't put any weight on the leg, and then walk down the steps when they leave. So, and I like doing this stuff in front of people so that people know that it's not a lie, and people know that it's actually true, and then I have witnesses to my work. So I can always say, nope, you saw it, so you can talk about it. I'll let you talk about it. There's real, when you know how to get at where the injury came from and how it happened and what mobility and what motion were you in when it happened, you can really get to it quick and fast. And honestly, ankles rolling means what? If we learned anything today, it means your hip, which we already know Sheldon, that was part of his big issues. So these are when you ice it, you actually lock it up. So you prevent the blood flow, you stop it. When you take Advil, you're saying, hey, don't inflame. Don't swell. Don't do that body natural system, natural response. Don't do that. You actually decondition your body from how it's made to protect itself. You need to harness how it protects itself and make it work for you. So the worst thing you can do is stop, sit, and don't do anything. It's the worst thing you can do. Depending on direct impact. If you had impact, that's different. At most I would. It's very specific times that I have said to use to actually to ice, and it's never more than 7 minutes. So there's very specific times for that. You need heat, if anything, to generate blood flow. You need releasing, sticking, balling, rolling to move the blood flow around and let it get juicy and do its job. I mean, literally so much of the problems at your knee pain is due to lack of good blood flow to the joint because it's so restricted by tissue that you don't foam roll baseline, and that creates such a problem. But let that go long enough, and then strap on a freaking brace on it, and now you've got tissue restricting, and now you have a brace, and now you have hip lockup, foot lockup, you got stability sneakers on because somebody told you to do that too, God knows for what freaking reason, and then your foot's not moving, your hip already wasn't moving properly, now you locked it up with your foot, and now you got this brace on your knee. I don't know why you don't think you'd be in pain. I don't know why you wouldn't think you'd be in pain for a long time. So that's what the knee injuries with running are considering. And I want you to just look at it differently. Is it pain? Is it an injury? Is it a nag? Is it an injury? Is it soft tissue? Is it my fascia? You look at those points of things to get a better understanding of what your body is doing and saying to you. And always know this: your body is the best feedback you will ever have. If you don't understand how to listen to it and talk about it, injuryrecoveryprogram.com, the official One Pain Free program, will help you figure that out. That's the point. So there is a way to understand that. We study that day and night and day for years and years and years and years so that we can explain it to you super easy and simple. It's not your job to actually learn. You have your own job. You do your own thing. You have a family. You've got kids, maybe a wife or a husband. Maybe you take care of your parents. You have a regular job. You travel for work. That's your job. Our job is to translate whatever your body is going through so that you can treat it the best way possible, get the most out of it, optimal, perform, and enjoy your runs and enjoy whatever activity it is you want to do. That's our job. That's what we do. So that's why when you start to kind of think that it's your job to do that or a friend's job to do that, with all due respect, they have their own job, and this ain't it. So, thank you very much, Lydia. I appreciate it. That's my intent, is to help and give information. Okay, I'm scrolling up for questions because I see I've missed some things. Hello, everybody. Hello. Okay, so I did mention, someone's asking what knee injuries am I talking about. What I specifically, just to reiterate, what I specifically said was there are certain things that are actual injuries and there are things that are pain. So IT band syndrome, runner's knee, is pain. Those are not actual injuries. ACL tear, MCL tear, LCL tear, those are injuries. And then the cusp between, what I've made an example of a cusp between pain spots, right? Pain from a mobility issue that you're just feeling like a lack of mobility, the IT band and your runner's knee. Between that and actual injuries, the cusp is meniscus issues and cartilage stuff. Both I consider to be hogwash because Meniscus tear is soft tissue. It actually heals itself, and most people don't need surgery. It's a huge money maker with it, just what it is. And then the surgery fallout has a lot more adverse effects than helpful effects in my professional experience. And then cartilage, being told you have no cartilage in your knee is hogwash, because you actually generate cartilage by the action of running itself. And even more efficiently, when you're running with proper form, proper function, and efficiently, you generate cartilage even faster. So I have clients who are in their 80s and have been running since they were 20 something, and they have their bone density tests, and their bone density is that of a 25-year-old, and they're in their 80s. That's from running. That's from running properly. That's from running well. That's from running strong. That's from running smart. That's from taking rest. That's understanding conditioning. That's what that is. But that's the power of what running can do. And if you are into running, I want you to run forever. And I think you want to run forever. Most people who come to us, like Lydia, who just popped up on the live, she has an actual goal plan to be running at 100. And I actually believe her. So most people want to run forever who come to us, and that's why they come to us. But the sad thing is, it's always, people are like, well, I've been following you for like a year. I've been following you for like 2-3 years. I know what you said to do, but I didn't really do it. So now I have to come because now I'm broken, you know? And so I hope that these lives and my events and the podcasts and all of our programs that we put out and all the stuff that we put out a lot of stuff for you guys to just take in and learn from. So we do it so that you guys can just have a headway on your own body and learning what it's doing and what it's saying to you. What it's saying to you. Strip it clean. Take off the tape. Take off the braces. Stop the shots. Stop the Advil. Listen to it. What can you do? What can't you do? Start from there. Strip it clean. See what it's doing. And then go from there. If your glutes are not firing, your hip can't be supported. And if your hip is not supported, it's not going to function. And then that then creates a knee problem, because joint to joint right there, that knee to hip action becomes an issue functionally. And then muscularly, your hamstring goes out, because now your hamstring is going to do the job of your glute. And now that sets even more dysfunction into the hip joint, because that's not the job of the hamstring. And if the glute is not doing stuff and it has to default to another muscle, that muscle can do its own job. So there's a whole bunch of fallout that happens from all this that is super preventable. It's also very fixable. And knee pain, again, is one of the simplest, easiest, fastest things to actually get the pain off of, because it's not coming from your knee. It's not coming from there. But continue to stifle it, and it will be an injury at your knee. That it will eventually happen there. It may take a little while. You may break a lot of other things in the process, but it will happen there. That will happen there. I hope that answers your question. Let me check for more. I'm going to check questions over here on Facebook. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, everybody. So nice to see everyone. Yay. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, snap. Everybody's on. Very cool. It's good to see you all. Okay, so if you don't have any more questions, I'm not going to keep talking because I said a lot already. So I hope that you all I hope that you all got some information that's going to help you. If you have any questions, please DM us, please message us. Again, injuryrecoveryprogram.com is the official Run Pain Free program. So go on over there, you'll meet a quiz, and the quiz will start you to figure out what's going on with you and where it's coming from. And it's quickie, it's very precise, so we figure it out off the jump, because nobody has time to be managing pain. I don't know about you, but I don't have time for it. So I hope you all have an amazing day, amazing evening, a great rest of your week. But I'm coming back live, so get your notifications on. Make sure you are aware, because I'm going to go live a lot in the next few weeks, because it's the start of marathon season. I haven't gone live in a while, and I know a lot of people are asking me questions, so I'm just going to get on here and allow those questions to roll in. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you all again for tuning in. And thank you to everybody. Thank you for everybody on both sets, on Facebook and on Instagram. Bye, guys.